Elara Miles stepped off the gravlift and into the main combat training hall of Trione's Academy, the soles of her boots silent on the obsidian alloy floors. Her uniform still carried creases from the vacuum pack, but she walked like someone who belonged here. Chin level. Eyes forward. Breathing steady. The stares began immediately. 6 armed Vocari students paused mid-conversation. A pair of blue-scaled Hydrax twins muttered something in their tongue. Elara didn't respond. She was used to being stared at. Earthlings always drew eyes in places like this. Too primitive, too violent, too unpredictable. A digital banner glowed over the archway. Welcome, cadets. Discipline is the blade of victory. The hall buzzed with hushed speculation as Commander Varkel entered from the opposite end. A Torak, nearly 7 feet tall, his armor wasn't ceremonial, it bore scratches and gouges earned in real combat. His snout curled at the sight of her. So. The ape walks among the stars now, he said loud enough for everyone to hear. Elara stopped mid-step. Cadet Elara Miles, Earth Sector, reporting for assigned combat rotation. Varkel's hooves struck the floor as he approached, his massive form casting a long shadow. I've read your file. Top scores. Advanced reflexes. Bone density twice the galactic norm. And yet. He leaned in. Still soft inside. She didn't blink. Permission to prove otherwise, sir. He snorted. You'll have your chance. The next morning's session began with a standard assessment. Sparring matches rotated through alien cadets of varying physiology, double-jointed Mrasians, methane-breathing Yeleks, even a levitating Salvek. Elara moved like she was born in battle. Against the Mrasian, she used tight, grounded footwork to prevent being tangled. Against the Yelek, she exploited the delay in its wide sweeps with sharp jabs to pressure points. Each fight ended swiftly, with her opponents limping or bowing in reluctant acknowledgement. Still, Varkel's face never shifted. Not approval. Not surprise. Just cold calculation. He clapped once. Enough. The room stilled. Cadets looked up, sensing the shift in tone. Some of you think speed or clever tricks make you warriors. But real combat is about endurance. Pain. Dominance. His eyes locked on Elara. Let's demonstrate. She already knew what was coming. Cadet Miles. Step into the ring. She complied, silent and composed. Her face betrayed nothing. Instructor Varkel will now perform a live demonstration, said the training AI over the intercom, its voice flat. There were murmurs, unusual, bordering on illegal. Instructors didn't spar with cadets unless sanctioned. Elara didn't speak. She just watched him remove his armor's outer plating, revealing gnarled muscles and ceremonial scars. He entered the ring, his hooves echoing like distant thunder. They circled each other under the glowing arena lights. You think you've earned their respect, Varkel growled. But these creatures admire weakness cloaked as discipline. I think you admire power disguised as cruelty, she replied, tone even. He lunged. She sidestepped, barely. The shockwave from his charge rippled through the air. He spun and kicked, his thick leg a blur. She ducked, rolled, came up ready. No retaliation. No provocation. Just waiting. The crowd murmured louder now. Varkel grinned. What's the matter, ape? Forgot how to hit back. She said nothing. Then, without warning, his fist connected. A full-force punch, knuckles like steel, caught her jaw and threw her backward. She landed hard, the impact echoing off the training hall's walls. Blood trickled from her mouth. Cadets gasped. Elara sat up slowly. Wiped the blood with her thumb. Her eyes met his. Was that part of the demonstration, sir? She asked, voice like ice on glass. You need to learn, he said, that you don't belong here. She stood. Straightened her spine. Licked her cracked lip. Permission to return the lesson, sir? Gasps rippled across the gallery. Even the AI hesitated before repeating. Awaiting instructor acknowledgement. Varkel smirked. Granted. He shouldn't have. As the tension snapped, cadets leaned forward. The moment had changed. No longer a lesson. Now a reckoning. Ilara's stance dropped slightly, knees bent, center lowered. Not aggressive. Calculated. Varkel stepped in again, leading with a powerful swing. And missed. She wasn't there anymore. A blur of motion. She pivoted around his arm, planted a foot behind his leg, and drove her palm into his elbow. There was a sickening crack. He roared. But she wasn't done. While he staggered, she jumped, spinning. Her elbow struck his jaw. 1, 2, 3 strikes. He hit the ground. Unmoving. She exhaled. Not with pride. Not with rage. Just control. The AI finally spoke. Instructor incapacitated. Combat protocol breached. Medical team dispatched. Cadets stared in silence. The Hydrax twins lowered their heads. The Vocari murmured reverently. Ilara walked over to the unconscious Torak, knelt, and whispered just loud enough for the front row to hear. Next time, lead with respect. She stood and turned away as the medbots arrived. The arena's floor still bore the faint scuff marks from Varkel's collapse. It had been 2 days since the demonstration, and the air inside Trione's academy hadn't settled. Whispers chased Ilara down every corridor. Not mockery, respect. Thinly veiled. Heavily charged. Varkel was alive. Dislocated elbow. Fractured jaw. 2 broken ribs. He'd been moved to medbay under heavy sedation. The official report called it an authorized escalation within training bounds. But cadets knew better. That wasn't escalation. It was containment. Ilara's quarters were quiet. Her bunk precisely made. Gear stacked in order. Yet she sat cross-legged on the floor, replaying the moment again and again. Not the strike. The granting of permission. That smug smile. That flicker of arrogance. He thought she wouldn't. And for a split second, neither had she. Morning drills resumed with a new instructor, Lieutenant Heroes, a Deltari strategist with 6 eyes and no tolerance for delay. He didn't speak about Varkel. He didn't need to. But as combat class reformed, something had shifted. Cadets gave her space now. Not out of fear, but calculation. She had become a variable. Not just a human. A Deathworlder who'd shown exactly what made Earth dangerous. Pair off, Heroes ordered, hands clasped behind his long back. Simulation scenario, one-on-one infiltration capture. No weapons. No kills. Disable and secure your opponent. You have 60 seconds. Ilara found herself facing a Slinar cadet, taller, limbs like whipcords, with skin that shimmered in low light. The countdown began. 5 seconds in, the Slinar was already trying to coil around her. She didn't panic. Dropped low, slipped past the first limb, drove her knee into its abdomen, and used her shoulder to flip it backward. 30 seconds. Done. Heroes nodded. Efficient. Unshowy. Well judged. She gave no response. The praise didn't matter. The room's silence did. She could feel eyes on her. Always now. Even from the upper balcony, where shadows loitered behind mirrored glass. Admin, tribunal watchers. Waiting. By midday, she was summoned. Cadet Miles, report to Judiciary Hall 2, said the AI. No emotion. Just sterile directive. She changed into formal grace. No weapons. No augment chips. Her heart rate remained steady. The hall was circular, lit by a soft ultraviolet glow. 3 officials stood at the far end, 1 Solari, 1 Zenther, and 1 human. Neutral observers, allegedly. To her right, the empty seat of the accused. To her left, Varkel, bandaged and bruised, standing, arms crossed. He refused to meet her eyes. The Solari chairwoman spoke first. Cadet Miles. You are under review for excessive force used during a live demonstration. Per the footage, you inflicted serious injury on your superior officer. I acted within granted permission, Alara replied, voice even. The human observer leaned forward. Did you interpret as granted as lawful retaliation? No. I confirmed it through protocol, she said. He was aware of the conditions. Yet your response incapacitated him. It had to. He'd already bypassed combat safety by striking with lethal intent. My response was scaled to neutralize. A pause. The Zenther spoke for the first time, his voice like cracking shale. Why not disable with restraint? I was restrained, she said. He can still walk. There was a beat of silence. The footage played again. Slowed. Zoomed. Alara's face, bloodied but calm. Her pivot. The strikes. The collapse. The Solari nodded once. Verdict, justified defense under elevated provocation. No penalty. Cadet may resume duties. She didn't smile. Just turned to leave. As she passed Varkel, he spoke for the first time. You didn't win. She stopped. I didn't have to. The hallway outside was quiet. Too quiet. She barely made it 10 steps before someone caught up beside her. Hell of a thing, breaking your instructor's face. Alara looked sideways. It was Terran, a four-armed Vokari cadet who'd mocked her during orientation. He wasn't mocking now. She raised an eyebrow. Want to be next? He grinned. No, thanks. Just wanted to say, that was the cleanest takedown I've ever seen. Even by Vokari standards. She didn't respond. I'm not saying we're friends, he added. But if you ever need backup. She turned slightly. Noted. Back in the training yard, things were different. Pairings rotated again. Heroes didn't speak her name, but paired her with Alrek, a Zendari warrior known for speed and aggression. This wasn't a test. It was a message. She entered the ring. Alrek followed, smiling. Sharp teeth. A little too eager. Don't worry, he whispered, I'm not Varkel. No, she replied. You're slower. He lunged, and instantly regretted it. She moved just enough. Turned his own weight against him. Dropped him with a leg sweep, arm locked behind his back before he hit the ground. Time, 12 seconds. The cadets didn't gasp this time. They observed. The reputation was no longer rumor. That night, she sat alone in the academy cafeteria, poking at rehydrated rations. Lights buzzed overhead. A trio of cadets watched her from a corner table, unsure whether to approach or avoid. She kept her eyes on the tray. Until a message pinged on her wristband. From Galactic Federation Oversight Council. Subject, Combat Event Review Footage, Public Release Approved. Attached, link, Deathworld Earth vs. Commander Varkel, 7.3 million views in 6 hours. She stared at it. Then exhaled. The galaxy was watching now. The footage didn't just circulate, it ignited. By morning, Alara's name was trending across 4 planetary networks. The title was always some variation of the same clickbait. Deathworlder girl breaks alien commander, watch what happens next. Human cadet drops Torak war veteran in one move, unreal. Clips were looped, analyzed, memed, dissected by galactic commentators like Sport. Some called her a symbol of balance restored. Others a dangerous anomaly. But everyone had an opinion, and none of them knew her. Alara didn't care for the noise. She still woke at 0400, still trained solo in the auxiliary bay before drills, still sharpened her edge quietly, because that's what survival looked like. Not spectacle. Not applause. Preparation. she was halfway through a weighted run when Lieutenant Harrows approached. "You've been reassigned." She paused, just slightly winded. "Permanently?" "No. One-day tasking. High Command wants to assess adaptability. Your opponent will arrive in 20 minutes. "Who?" But Harrows was already walking away. The arena was dim now, private. No cadets. No audience. Just silence in a floating observation pod overhead. Someone was watching. A door hissed open across the ring. Illyra's eyes narrowed. It wasn't a cadet. It was Karin Thoric, a Federation-recognized champion from the planet Dorlax. 8 limbs. Bladed carapace. Breathes ammonia. Fought in zero-G arenas. And worst of all, smiling. A public trial by fire. Thinly disguised as a training evaluation. She was being tested. Again. A deep, synthetic voice echoed from above. "Begin." Thoric lunged instantly. No greetings. No bluffing. Just a wall of motion. Illyra dodged low, barely avoiding a scything leg. The second strike clipped her shoulder. Pain flared, sharp and fast, but she didn't react. Thoric grinned wider. Not bad, for a mammal. She spun, struck twice, once to the thorax, once to the inner elbow joint. The hits landed, but he didn't flinch. "I've killed better fighters in pit matches." Illyra didn't respond. She was watching the rhythm. Thoric was fast, yes, but impatient. He overcommitted on follow-ups. She baited. Feinted left, rolled right, then kicked upward, catching his lower limb joint just as he twisted. There was a crack, not a break, but enough. He hissed and staggered back. Now the grin was gone. He charged again, but this time, she was ready. 10 minutes in, sweat soaked her collar. Blood trickled from a nick above her brow. Her breathing was even. Calculated. Thoric, on the other hand, had slowed. "Yield," she said. Not mocking. Just calm. He spat, some kind of black mucus, onto the mat. "Never." She shifted her stance. This would end now. He tried a high sweep with 2 arms, but she ducked, hooked his midsection with her forearm, and used his own momentum to flip him. His carapace hit the floor with a crack. She pivoted, drove a knee into the gap between plating. He grunted. And stopped moving. The AI chimed. Opponent incapacitated. Combat complete. A voice crackled through the observation speaker. "Stay in position, Cadet Miles." She obeyed, kneeling next to Thoric's form. He was breathing, unconscious, but stable. Then another voice. Human. Cold. Male. We've seen what we needed to see. 2 hours later, she stood before Admiral Varric, commander of the Galactic Federation's Recruitment Integration Program. A panel of 10 other officers flanked him. Holograms flickered behind them, displaying slow-motion shots of her latest match. "You've caused considerable disruption," Varric began. 6 instructors filed reports. 7 cadets have requested transfers. But... He turned to look at her directly. "None of that changes the fact that you've just altered the political equilibrium inside this station." She didn't speak. "You understand what you represent now, don't you?" he continued. "Not just Earth. Not just Deathworlders. But the myth that we, the Federation, can't be bested by outsiders." "I didn't come to start a myth," she said. "I came to learn. You sent tests. I passed them." A Zenther admiral to Varric's right clicked his mandibles. "You humiliated a decorated Torak officer. You destroyed a galactic champion in under 15 minutes. What happens when that fear spreads?" "Fear is a choice," she replied. "So is respect." Varric raised a brow. "You're not afraid of consequences?" "I've survived worse than opinions." Silence. Then laughter, just a short chuckle from Varric. Well said. He tapped the hollow in front of him. Your performance has earned provisional clearance for elite war college candidacy. You'll finish your term here under observation, but with access to restricted training in solo ops. She nodded once. You've made enemies, the Zenther warned. I already had them, she said. Now they're just easier to see. That night, Alara returned to her quarters. She cleaned her shoulder wound. Repaired her sparring gear. The room was silent, but her band buzzed. A new message. From Varkel. Subject, observation. Message. You taught them something I couldn't. I still don't like you. But I respect the fight. Train like someone will come for you. One day, they will. She read it twice. Then deleted it. The stars outside her window looked the same as ever. Cold. Unreachable. But somewhere out there, Earth was watching. And so was the rest of the galaxy. She didn't plan to be anyone's symbol. But if the galaxy wanted a Deathworlder to remember, she'd give them one worth fearing.